Developing tonight, the administration refusing to level with the American people over the death of an American soldier. Sound familiar? Master Sergeant Joshua Wheeler was killed yesterday in a daring raid to rescue dozens of hostages who were literally hours away from being slaughtered by ISIS. His heroics are indisputable. Yet the administration is refusing to call this a combat death, and that is causing some backlash. In moments, we'll be joined by Colonel Tony Shaffer, but we begin with Leland Vittert reporting live tonight from Washington. Leland?
Evening, Megan. It would take the better part of this hour to read the commendations and awards that were bestowed upon Master Sergeant Joshua Wheeler. Sufficing to say, he lived as he died, a legend among legends. 39 years old, from Roland, Oklahoma, Wheeler enlisted while still a teenager. One look at his rack of medals shows the career of a man who spent 20-plus years at the tip of the American spear. As part of the Army's Special Operations Command, he deployed 11 times to Iraq and Afghanistan. His awards include 11 Bronze Stars, 4 with a Valor device. Wheeler deployed to Iraq this latest time as part of the Delta Force teams training and advising the Kurdish Peshmerga that's fighting ISIS. Sources tell me Delta operators were under strict orders to keep themselves out of the fight. That was the plan Wednesday night when the Delta Force loaded into 5 helicopters on a hostage rescue mission. American intelligence concluded that ISIS planned to execute 70 or so hostages. The Peshmerga were supposed to do all the fighting. But when things went south, Wheeler ran toward the gunfire and paid the ultimate price. Yesterday, the Pentagon, their spokesperson, walked an almost impossible high-wire act of word games, trying to explain how a Delta Force operator killed behind enemy lines was consistent with President Obama's promise that America's mission against ISIS was not a combat one.
In that support role, they are allowed to defend themselves and also defend partner forces and to protect against the loss of innocent life. And that's what played out in this particular operation. They were there in that support role and, again, acted under those circumstances.
Fast forward 24 hours, the Secretary of Defense today faced a barrage of questions and finally seemed to admit the obvious.
This is combat. Things are complicated. This is someone who saw the team that he was advising and assisting coming under attack, and he rushed to help them.
The Pentagon says Ash Carter himself approved the raid, and Megan, he will be at Dover to welcome Sergeant Wheeler's remains home this weekend.
Leland, thank you. Well, in case the original message from the Department of Defense was not clear, here's a little more from Pentagon spokesman Peter Cook and Defense Secretary Ash Carter. Listen, yesterday and today.
This was a unique circumstance. This was a support mission.
It doesn't represent us assuming a combat role.
And U.S. forces are not in an active combat mission.
It represents a continuation of our advise and assist mission.
Again, Barbara, this was a support mission.
We do not have combat formations there the way we had once upon a time in Iraq.
U.S. forces are not in a combat role in Iraq.
And it went on. Retired Army Reserve Lieutenant Colonel Tony Shaffer is a CIA-trained intel operative. Great to see you again tonight,
Hey,
Colonel.
Megan, good to be on. Thank you for having me.
I mean, they got hammered from press across the board, from every media outlet, for just refusing to say that this was combat. Does it have anything to do with Barack Obama saying specifically back in 2014 that the American forces deployed to Iraq do not and will not have a combat mission?
Absolutely. I mean, Ash Carter danced all over the fact, oh, we don't have combat formations like we did before. No, but we have combat forces. Delta doesn't show up to train some people to basket weave. They're there to kill people.
Obviously.
Their job is to train those to do what is necessary.
Why can't they say it's not a combat mission, but there is some combat? There are some boots on the ground, and that's what happened here.
Fundamentally, Megan, the whole idea here is that the Pentagon knows they're at war. We know we have to win that war. The warriors who go forward, like this Master Sergeant Wheeler was, and condolences to his family. He put his life on the line. And what's disrespectful here, in a total, a complete departure of what should be an honorable moment for he and his family, is the White House is putting pressure on the Pentagon to say, no, it's not really combat because, you know, the president ended the war there. The president said the war is gone, it's done, we pulled the troops out, we're not going to be fighting there again, so it's nothing to see here. And that's the problem. We have now a political meme, which actually is the thing which leads and directs how the Pentagon focuses and shapes its message. I'm telling you, Megan, the good people who are fighting this war, they're fighting the war. We just saw this in Kunduz, where we actually had to do the same thing. The Afghan forces were doing well. They weren't going to win. We had to jump in and help them. So either we want to start winning or we don't.
This guy, he ran to save Kurds and Iraqi soldiers.
That's correct.
Without support for troops of another country. He gave his life, and now we can't even be honest back stateside about the circumstances of his death. We just opened the show with a long narrative to this effect about what happened in Benghazi, and on it goes. When it comes to the death of American service personnel or American ambassadors, why must it be so hard to just level with the American people?
Because everything has become political. I mean, Megan, the last thing, national security should be political. It should be cut and dry. These are the facts. This is what happened. This is what we have to do to adjust to actually achieve victory. And right
the American
now,
people are understanding. They're very understanding.
Absolutely. And I think they honor the American men and women who go forward to do those hard tasks. The problem is this. We have people in the White House who have now completely devoted themselves to a narrative for the president's legacy. I mean, and this is what's being preserved here. It's the legacy.
A combat situation doesn't turn it into a combat mission. Okay.
It's
I got to
insane.
go. Colonel, great to see you.
Yeah, great to see you.